Good morning or afternoon, incredible agents from around the country. Today is Thursday, October 26th, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 149. Can't believe it's been that many. Go easy on us today, guys. Our illustrious coach trainer, Chad, is at the Exit Realty Convention this week, and he's actually speaking right now, so he won't be here, but I think we will do a pretty good job of filling in his absence. And also wanted to let you all know, for any of you that are attending conventions, this is kind of the convention season. We will be at NAR in Chicago next weekend. And then the 4th of December in Jacksonville, Florida, we will be at the Explode Conference. If any of you are familiar with that, that's a one-day event in Jacksonville. And then December 5th, 6th, and 7th, December 5th through the 7th, we will be at Triple Play in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So we always like connecting, face with the name of a customer. If you guys are going to be at any of those conventions, please come by and see us. We'll let you know the booth number if you know you're going to be there, and we'd like to meet you face-to-face. I'll go around with my partners that are here. Tim, anything you want to share with the group?
Nothing special today other than, we're always anxious to hear from you, and we've been talking about a lot of stuff. We spent time in West Virginia together, as we discussed last week, and we're rapidly implementing some of the things that we talked about there, and we'll keep you posted. It's going to be a great end to the year, and next year we're going to have some pretty explosive and exciting things to talk about, so onward and upward.
Excellent. Thomas, anything you want to share?
Just to remind everybody, if they need anything, to always contact us. We're here to help. You can get us at support@alltheleads.com, or if you're in your portal area, just hit contact us. We track all of those items and get the appropriate person to get back with you as quickly as possible.
And of course, I always add to that, we have 4 partners and we now have 9 employees. So the best way to get very specific, very speedy help with anything you need, you can always try to call us, but most of us are always on the phone. If you just hit the Contact Us button and be real specific, hit the Contact Us button on the website or go to support@alltheleads.com and be real specific about what you need help with. We all read that, and the best person to help you will usually get back to you within a matter of minutes. I think our average response time is somewhere less than 15 minutes. So, we really don't want to just sell you data. We want to do everything we can to make sure you're successful with it. So enough of a commercial for us. Again, we have 2 people in the queue. We've got room for more. Just hit *6 and hit 1 if you would like to actively participate. And let's go to the first person. Phone number ending in 5414. You're up first.
Good morning.
What a pleasant voice. I would buy whatever you were selling.
Awesome. Good. Apparently I have some real estate for you. So
yeah, there you go.
I wanted to ask a question. So I'm super new to doing this, and I just started making calls this week. I'm in Arizona, and the question that I had was, I had someone that I spoke to yesterday say that they had personal info. Really, I was asking them for personal info and about personal details that they weren't comfortable sharing. I really, opened the call like I'd opened every other call that morning, just asking, hey, have you received the letter that we've mailed out? Have you had an opportunity to look at it, et cetera? And this one kind of caught me off guard. How do you all deal when someone's, really resistant to share any information since you're building a relationship with them?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I mean, it's the first time we've heard, well, I don't want to give you personal information, but I think it's pretty much the same as people that just say, I've got it all handled. I don't need any help. It's really just kind of, the analogy I always use, you want to buy you're going out to a party, you want to buy some new clothes, you go by the mall and you walk into a store and the clerk walks up and says, can I help you? How do most people respond? No, I'm just looking. It's the same thing. It's just a gut reaction that's saying, don't sell me, I don't want to be sold. So,
Right.
the best thing is some kind of a pattern interrupt. Always acknowledge it. Well, I can certainly understand that. This is personal and it's a difficult time for the family. I just want to make sure you understand what it is we have to offer. We really specialize in helping people, in your situation. Is there anything I can help you with? Or Chad always has a question that he throws out there. I'm just curious, what's the most difficult thing? I'm not asking you for any real personal information, but what's been the most difficult part of the process so far? And can I help you with it? Another good
I like
go-to.
that.
What's that?
Oh, I said I like that because I
Yeah,
think it is, I think it is them thinking about how they're feeling and just being like, oh, one more of these people is calling.
exactly. And the old pattern interrupt that we've talked about so many times that works. Same thing when they say that, well, my attorney's handling everything. Oh, okay, great. So your attorney has already switched your homeowner's policy to a vacant house policy. And
Ah,
just that is really effective because probably less than 1% of them have done that, and most of them don't realize that if the house has been vacant for more than 30 days, the insurance company, if it burned down or there's a hurricane or tornado or mudslide or earthquake, they may not be covered.
right.
So it's like anything else. I think just ask a good open-ended question. Don't ask try not to ask of course that last one is a yes or no question, but that's sort of a shocking one to really get their attention. But for the most part, ask an open-ended question first. What has been the most difficult part of the process for you so far? And
Okay.
and another good one is just I understand it is a difficult time for the family, and I wouldn't expect you to compromise or share any information that maybe other family members wouldn't want you to give me. But I just want to make sure you got my letter, and I was just wondering, how can I help you?
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
The other thing I was going to suggest in regard to that too is that you may want to remember that there are many things that you can lead with from a service standpoint, and so the conversation could also take the turn of, well, that's fine. I understand you may not want to share information with me, but let me share a little bit with you about some of the things that we can provide that you may or may not already have handled, and if you do, that's great. If not, these are things you're probably going to have to deal with, and I want you to know that we've got a resource for it. For example, we've got folks that can come in and help you deal with the existing personal property that may need to get moved out of there. Oftentimes that's an impediment to getting it sold. And off you go with your entire list of services that you can offer. And if you start by that kind of value, remember our mantra is kind of value first. If you get the opportunity to say that, that's a great switch.
Perfect. Okay. Great tips, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, and congratulations on being new, and you're already making calls. That's half the battle. It's a numbers game. Keep that pleasant voice, keep the positive attitude. You'll do very well with this.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome. You just hear the smile in her voice. That's great. We have one more person in the queue. We do have room for plenty more, guys, so please participate. Hit *6 and hit 1. There you go. Thank you. I recognize that name. Next up is phone number ending in 6515. You're up next.
Hi, this is Rick Taylor, Venice, Florida.
Hey, Rick.
How are you?
Wonderful. Thanks for participating.
Fantastic. Well, it was a pleasure talking or hearing you and Marcus go back and forth the other day, last call, and regarding Mojo. And it is a game changer.
Good. Good.
So I spent, a day doing all the fields and so forth, and I now have 28 leads to call out of 200. So
now that was Chad last
week.
I don't want to take credit. That was Chad, our coach, who's not here this week. But that was him going back and forth. So by loading them into Mojo, you're saying you just narrowed it down to how did that work for you? What was different or what worked well? You narrowed it down to.
Well, what worked well with me is, I know I'm going to call these people about 3 to 5 times.
Right.
And until I get the scripts down into dialogues, I had one lady tell me she's got everything handled. Well, I'm still, yeah, I guess I'm just shell shocked. I don't know what to, really say because it's new to me.
Mhm.
So, I'll be able to call her back, let's say in 5 days, and keep calling back, making notes, and then going back to our database and you know deleting them or whatever I have to do. One question I had is I had a couple of them say, "Well, I'm not that person."
Mhm.
So
Sure.
I made notes on that and took the phone number and deleted it and so forth.
Right.
Will I be able to get the right person? I mean,
Yeah,
how does that work?
when you we hear that a lot. Like people will tell us, well, there's an error in your data. The reason for that, it's not an error. We get all of our information from the courthouse, but then the courthouse doesn't supply phone numbers. We take the executor information and run it through multiple databases to find the phone numbers. So when
Hmm.
you get somebody like that, it just probably means that we give you four phone numbers. Often one of them or maybe two of them will be a phone number that's no longer in that person's name. It might be another David Smith that lives, in the same town or at the same address. So it's not that it's wrong. It's just an additional phone number that we supplied that may not be going to the right person. That's why it's important that you call all four of
Perfect.
them. Now,
Okay.
my partner Tim has done a really good job of taking all this data and arranging it from 1 to 4. So the first phone number we give you is usually the one that shows up the most often and the most recently, and that's usually the most accurate. That's why I call that one first. And then by the
I
time you get to the third or fourth phone number, it might be, a wrong number, an old number. It might be a relative or, somebody who lives at the same address.
Right. Mojo is a game changer. If you get somebody you get an answer machine, you can leave a message that, did you receive my letter? And of course, I'm going to call her back and find out. My second question was, do y'all have any scripts and dialogues on the website that we could use to get us going?
We do, and unfortunately, Chad is not here. Maybe one of my partners. I know Chad is not a big fan of scripts, but he reluctantly did write some for the people that really like him. I know I think it's the second Fast Track video, there is a seller questionnaire, a seller checklist where you ask the seller a series of questions.
Okay.
And I know there is a script there somewhere. If we're not able to locate it, send an email to support, and we'll have Chad respond and tell you where it's at. Do you know, Tim or Tom, where it's located?
I think it's
Um,
after the third video. You have the ability to download it, but I will. I'll make sure that we send you the script that we have. But we always recommend that
Fantastic.
you should go out and underneath the call archives, conference call archives, we've done approximately 23, 24 role play calls. And by listening to probably 3 or 4 of those, you'll see how others have approached that initial contact and how they position
Hmm.
themselves. I think that'll be helpful for you to refine, your own script.
Great. Okay. I want to compliment you guys. You've done such a fabulous job. The first number usually is the right number, and the percentage is right on, 20% out of 80. 80% you don't need us, but 20 do. So I'm
Wow,
real excited.
that's great.
They
Thank you.
are so much better than for sale by owners or expireds.
Yeah, and what's your level of competition? And thank you for saying that. We really appreciate it, and it means a lot to us. And we really do try, and we're always trying to get better. But compared to FSBOs and expireds, what's the
Hmm.
level of competition with the leads so far? How many people are you? Have you heard anybody say I've had 100 agents call me?
One person, two people did, and the
Oh,
one
did
was
they
real
really?
quick
Okay.
to get rid of me, and the second one, I did ask her. I go, I'm sorry for your loss. Just curious, how many letters did you get? And she
Hmm.
said just one. So
Well,
the
what
level
I
of
mean,
competition, it's just up.
Naturally, I prefer
yeah,
to open them.
they do get a lot of letters, but what I'm saying is you probably, unlike FSBOs and expireds, you probably aren't having people say, you're the 100th person that called me, correct?
Didn't get one of
Yeah, usually
so.
you're going to be the only one calling. And
Mhm.
if I could make a little suggestion, when I first had this idea 5 years ago and I started calling, I used to say, "I'm sorry for your loss," and it finally took me. Excuse my language. I'm going to tell you exactly what the guy said, but I had a guy say, I said, "I'm sorry for your loss," and he said, "Don't be. Dying was the best thing that son of a bitch ever did." And I just kind of, I kind of laughed and I said, "Well, then congratulations." And he laughed and he said, "You have a sense of humor." But after that, I started saying, I understand it's a difficult time for the family. I think that comes across as being a little more sincere because you really didn't know the heir and you don't know them, and you really probably aren't sorry. But you can empathize with them by saying, I do understand that it's a difficult time for the family. That, for me, and I think that was a better choice of words. You might want to try that. I think it comes
I
across
like
as
it
being
a lot better. Yes.
comes across as being more sincere.
In which I want to be. So
Right,
I'm
exactly.
there to help them, not try to get the sell. If I can help them, it's going to make me feel so much better.
That's great. Great attitude. Thank you for sharing. Anything else that we can help you with?
Nope, I'm just excited, to be part of this, and I'll be on the next call next time.
All right, wonderful. Keep participating. Keep coming back. Too often, our agents get successful, and we end up with only new agents on these calls. So thank you very much for your participation. Congratulations on what you're doing so far.
Okay, the first two people told me to go to hell, but the rest of them were very nice.
yeah. That often happens. I was at a convention with Chad maybe 6 months ago, and a guy, his very first call, he just got read the riot act, and Chad kind of talked him down off the ledge, and we talked to him recently, and it hasn't happened since. It's probably less than 1% of these people are going to get upset with you, and that's going to, if you have the right intention, they'll perceive it, but that's going to happen with any type of prospecting. FSBOs, are going to say, just bring a buyer. Expireds are going to say, where were you when the house was listed? So you just, it goes with the territory
Sure.
of prospecting. But for the most part, these are a lot warmer, a lot friendlier people, a lot more
They
receptive.
are indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. We
All right.
have three more in the queue. Good job, guys. Phone number ending at 0883. You're up next.
Hey, Jim. This is another Jim Forsyth in Tennessee. How are you doing today?
Great, Jim. As always, thank you for participating. How you doing?
Oh, I just had the last caller said some of the things that I had in mind, but I'll be a little bit more specific too. I think all the ladies that you have that are working with you are not as visual as most of the guys are. And so if there's a way that you can take all of this information that you get on the calls and different, particularly the objections and how to overcome the objections. I've not been able to get online to listen to the role play calls, but I can understand something better when I can see it in writing. And so I haven't found any place on the website where I know there's some of the things Chad has shown me where the scripts are, and I've used those. But just some of the objections and things like that. If there's a place that you could put them in hard writing that us old codgers could take a look at, and it helped me a lot.
Hey, bud, that's a great suggestion, and I this is Tim. As we're speaking right now, we've been asked this same question, where are the scripts and all that, and I'm actually looking right now at our data to see where we can get that, and I'm going to add it to the support panel so that this is real obvious and everybody doesn't have to go hunting. And the same thing for some of the rest of this. We need to do a better job of pushing that stuff up to the front. We've been asked it often enough, and we're not being real smart about this. So thanks for poking at us, but that's literally what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. Well, it's just, some people are not as visual as others. And when I have the time to go look for something and I can read it, then it makes more sense to me. Whereas in trying to listen to the calls and scribbling notes, I don't know, you might even transcribe the phone calls in some way if you had a way to do that. But anyway, that's just a suggestion. Just let you know, I've been working with a sales inside sales agent, and we're doing real well. But I got 4 or 5 leads now, Jim. So it's starting to move forward. I got a call to late this afternoon. So
Great.
just want to thank you all.
No, and thank you for the great suggestion. We'll take that to heart. We'll get it done.
All right, sounds great. Have a great day.
You too. Three
Okay,
more in the queue. Phone number ending in 8160. You're up next.
Hi, this is Alan Lewis in New Jersey.
Hey, Alan.
I've been trying to get on your calls for some periods of time with my timing, and I made it today. So
good.
I'm not currently enrolled in your system. I'm interested. I'm 74. I've had a real estate license for over 30 years, but most of the years have been in mortgage banking, and I'm licensed in real estate, mortgage banking, and life insurance. So I do a lot of family planning and strategy planning and that type of thing with the client base. So I'm just trying to find out if this is the right fit for me.
Sure.
I'm enjoying the feedback from other calls. Do you or at a different time, can you share if you have people in northern New Jersey that are on your program?
We do. There's not too many areas in the country that we don't have. There are quite a few counties where we don't have anyone, but I think we have a presence in virtually every state. And it's interesting, Alan, because out of I think probably 90% of our subscribers are realtors, and about 10% of them are investors. And we have a smattering of title companies and mortgage people, and we've often thought that the financial services industry would be or someone with that background would be real good at this, because you could really counsel the people, first of all, to form a living trust so their kids don't have to go through this when their time comes, and also to be wise about having that money make a real difference in their life instead of going out and buying a Ferrari. And nothing wrong with nice cars, but that doesn't last as long. So I think you could bring a real nice addition to to what we offer. We've suggested to the agents, in addition to the investor, contractor, clean out crew, and realtor, that they add a financial planner, a financial services person, maybe an auction company, estate sale company. So that's certainly a good extra pillar. And if you ever want to talk to me, just please call my direct line. I'll be glad to walk you through the program individually. It's
okay. Can you share that number now?
Absolutely. 954-281-4264. That rings right at my desk. Call me anytime. I'm always on the phone, but but I'll always call you right back.
Okay. And I'm just to go back to many years ago with some of my colleagues on the phone may remember Tom Hopkins was one of the masters of scripting. So, I'm currently with Keller Williams in New Jersey, and I just went there to more activate it in the last several years from the mortgage banking side because that got slow. But I'm trying to reinvent myself. So
good for you. By the way, I'm not that much younger than you. I remember Tommy Hopkins. I met him. I loved. He had his. This was before the internet. He had his for sale by owner first aid kit that he would drop off at people's houses. Yeah. And it was like 280 pages long. And so if they thought they could get by without a realtor after they went through this, they realized that they needed one. So he was one of the pioneers of this business. So good for you. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you. Reach out to me anytime, and let's talk individually.
Good, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Do you provide for the network of people that you are enrolled with you? Who's in the network around the country? Because I like to do. I have a number of referrals around the country, and I'd like to use that platform.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you go to all the leads, go to Facebook, it's a closed Facebook group, but we'll obviously let you in, just reference who you are. And it's called All the Leads Mastermind. That's probably the best way to, and I'm amazed, like Saturday afternoon, Monday night, I'll get a notice on my phone. Somebody will go ask a question on there, and usually one of our subscribers, our experienced agents, will answer it before I have a chance to. So it's a real good, it's a real good way to you can just post in there. I mean, we don't list people's detailed information in there because that's private, but you can certainly go on there and just say anybody from your area and network with them.
Okay. So you don't have a name and an email or a phone or something?
No, and again, Tim, I don't know if you want to share that. We kind of feel like it like people ask me, who do you have in my market, and I'll tell them, well, we have one other agent, but I would never give out somebody's personal information without their permission. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if you were a subscriber, I wouldn't give your. And some people are secretive; they would just soon not. I
can't understand that, but that's my point of view.
Yeah, no, I know, but believe me, everybody's got their own preferences. So yeah.
Okay, yes, privacy is. Tell as many people as you like from my point of view, but okay.
Yeah, spread the word. Yep. All right, well, give me
I've developed with all of the different modalities and planning, I've developed a very significant questionnaire that I don't put a client in my car or really have a meeting until they fill it out.
Nice.
And you can write everything from insurance to mortgages to financial planning to your attorney to your accountant. It's easy to do, but it covers everything to from soup to nuts. If they and the blanks are as important as what's filled out. So
very good.
I'm happy to share that if there's someone.
Call me after the call, and we'll take a look at it. And we'll share it with the group. I appreciate it. I thank you for your participation. We have 2 more people in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 3917. You're up next.
Hi, this is Maya from Atlanta. Thank you for taking my call. I am new on the program, and I must say that I am quite blown away at how amazing the numbers are, the phone numbers are, and how many people I have actually been able to make contact with in a short period of time. My first question is it rude when you are calling someone to not acknowledge the death of a loved one?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. First of all, Maya, you signed up like 4 or 5 days ago, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so, well, what have you been doing in the last 4 or 5 days? You've just been sitting on it, right? And good for you that you've already started to make the calls. That's phenomenal. It whatever makes you feel comfortable and what you think makes them feel comfortable. Personally, I felt like I wanted to acknowledge it without being insincere, is why I used to say, I'm sure it's a difficult time for the family, and that's why I put together a team of people to help you. I felt like that was enough of a sincere acknowledgement. Is there something about you're just uncomfortable even acknowledging it? You just want to get down to business? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, so I'm not calling, I'm an investor, and so I'm an agent, but I am calling more to try to purchase the property myself, and I've used other tools to call, and so just for my own script purpose, all of the people that I'm calling are not associated with the probate, and so it's just easier for me to not be very specific because I don't know, and the numbers are kind of all together when I have the information. I'm just kind of going down.
So you're just using a generic script that may or may not apply to probate.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything rude about that. I mean, on average, it's 3 to 4 months, about 3 to 3.5 months from the date of death until the probate gets filed. So by that time, I mean, not that they're over it, but they're usually past the grieving process enough that they've made the business decision they need to deal with this. So, if you want to proceed business like that, I can't imagine. And if somebody expresses grief or something, you can always acknowledge it then, and you'll know it's a probate. No, I don't think personally, I don't think it's rude. Tim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, and I think the thing that you also need to realize is that you just need to do what comes naturally. I mean, oftentimes when you get that person on the phone and it becomes obvious that you're calling about the estate of Joe Smith, and you can kind of hear in their voice if they're still grieving or anything else. I mean, people tend to be pretty transparent about things like that, and just kind of deal with it according to what you hear. But the other side of it is that it's also possible that person really does not have a it's not family. It could be somebody who actually is not happy to be the executor or the executrix of the estate, and being a personal representative is really not something that they want to go do, and they're confused. And I think if you focus more on their personal challenge than anything else, and realize that if you put yourself in their shoes, if you were faced with dealing with that and you'd never done it before and you don't know all the things that you have to deal with, and in particular, you may have to deal with family members who are all anxious to get it settled and maybe get their share of it and all of that. Sometimes it brings out the worst in people. Sometimes it brings out the best. But it's always a challenge. So no matter who you're talking to, be aware that this is not a good thing for them. They're not enjoying it and anything else. So just kind of maintain that approach, and you're never going to go wrong by having empathy, not necessarily sympathy.
Right. Okay. One other quick question that I have too is, I know that on the, like, when you're doing the training online, like the fast track, it references like this 90-day campaign where it's like you send a letter, you call, you send a letter, you call. How effective do you think it is to continue past that 90-day window after you first try to make contact? Is that something where, you've found the most success is within that 90 days, and then after the 90 days it's typically not as successful? Or would you say continue to, mail them, call them, for the next, 6 months or so?
Well, Jim may have some view about this, but I can tell you that it's amazing that we have people who join and they take out after this for 5-6 months, and they get a couple of deals, and they think, well, this is a really slow process, and I'm just not going to continue to do this. And then a couple of months will go by, and we'll hear back from them, and they'll say, please reactivate my subscription. I just got 4 people that called me. They finally are ready to move, and finally ready to move on that property. So it really depends on your market, and it's a numbers game. I think that our approach really is very straightforward. We say that the first 90 days that you get them in general across the country, it's different market to market, but in general, that's probably the best time, but it also doesn't mean that you should just drop them completely. I would, if I were doing this and marketing it, I would take the 90 days, I'd send the 3 letters, I'd make all my phone calls, and then at the end of that, if I hadn't been able to reach them or I hadn't been able to get any action out of them, I'd put them in a deferred pile, but I would still do some marketing to them. Maybe somewhere down the line, send them a postcard, maybe somewhere down the line, just call them up and take a random number at doing it, or have an ISA do that, and don't let them lie, because they're going to, that house is going to get transferred at some point. It could be that someone was living in it and all that, and you just never know when it's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, we had someone on a call a couple of weeks ago. I wish I remember who it was, but they had tried it for 1 month, didn't get any results, and quit. And a year later, they got a deal that got them a $35,000 commission. So they had their assistant get on the phone and call year-old leads, and they got 3 more listings. So it really does. The downside about calling the older ones, I probably wouldn't spend a lot of marketing dollars on the old ones. You probably, I'm not saying don't mail past 3 months, but probably don't mail past, 3, 4, 5 months. But when they get a little bit older, a significant percentage of them are going to already be listed or sold. But the ones that aren't, you're going to have zero competition, and they're really going to be ready. So, we've heard so many stories of, and one of the really significant reasons we recommend that you mail, even if you're going to call, that you mail, people will put your flyer away and call you a year later, and they won't save your voicemail that long. So it's really important to get something in front of them. I wish it were an exact science, but you're just going to have to tweak it according to what you find in your market. But, at least 90 days, you're going to reach the majority of the people. That's kind of best practices. But, yeah, no reason to give up after that. If you've got the time and the bandwidth to make the calls, keep making them.
Okay. One super quick, sorry to hold you up. Sure. One last question. Is it more effective, or do you think it's, I saw the amazing letters that you guys have on the website. I, in the past, have just written like a quick handwritten letter that just says, hi, I'm interested in your house. Please give me a call. my contact information and my business card, do you think that they need, as a first form of contact, a letter that kind of outlines kind of what you guys have on your website, or do you think it's also okay to just have a letter that just says, I really want to just buy your house, here's my number, here's my business card?
So you're basically doing an ugly yellow letter, right? Basically.
Right.
Correct. On like a fancy piece of stationery with my name at the top.
Okay. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly what you said. It sounds like that's a kind of a yellow letter approach. And the whole thing that we kind of preach and teach is that we really believe in leading with the value that you offer. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. This person that's going to receive this is a person who's, having trouble. They're in almost no one, typically, you're never a personal representative more than once in most cases. I mean, you might be, for both of your parents, if they passed, you might be, if you're their sole their sole heir, you might do it. But generally, it's a one-time job, and so it's not one that comes with experience. And if you let them know that you're a valued resource and can offer more than just somebody trying to list the house, it's pretty easy to dismiss somebody trying to buy the house because I may not be ready to sell it. But if I start thinking about selling it and realize that, I've got to get rid of all the stuff that's in there that, belonged to Uncle Joe, and that's got to get out of there, and the front step, it's got a broken step on it, that doesn't look good, and there are just a number of things I know I'm going to have to go do to get this done, and I work a full-time job, and I think you see where I'm going with this. If you can offer to be helpful to that person to get some of that stuff out of the way for them, and that's what they remember from what they get from you, you're going to be better off. And that's why we recommend what we recommend. A yellow letter, that's just pretty discardable at that point, particularly because they don't feel like they necessarily own a house anyway at that point. They're dealing with it from a probate standpoint. They don't feel that ownership piece of it. They have responsibility more than ownership.
And one thing I would tell you also, you're an agent and an investor, correct, Maya?
Correct.
All right, but I would tell you the same thing I tell the people that are just investors. They get a lot of letters from it doesn't say this, but I can steal your house and close tomorrow. So I think you want to differentiate yourself a little bit, and I always tell investors, tell them, I can buy your house, that's what I do, I've got an estate sale company, come from a comprehensive approach. And I tell investors, tell them if you're not in a hurry and you're looking to get top dollar, I know a great agent, or I can list the house for you. That's pretty 180 degrees what other investors are doing. And I think it lets them know that you really do have their best interest at heart. Because let's face it, 10% of these probably at best are going to be good buy and flips. They're going to have some, compelling urgency. The rest of them are just going to be good motivated listings. So, I think you're always better to give them options than to come with a straight, yellow letter or we buy houses, because they are probably getting those types of letters, but they're not getting. I doubt any other investor is telling them that they can recommend a realtor. So it really makes you different.
Yeah,
that makes
perfect
sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, welcome, and keep making those calls. And I'm really, we've heard 3 or 4 times today how good the phone numbers are, and we're always glad to hear that, guys, because we really, really, really strive for that to be the case, and we're always trying to make it better. So that's really good to hear. We have one more person in the queue. We've got room for more. Otherwise, this may be our last call for the day. Phone number ending in 2959. You're up next.
Yeah, this is Jim from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Good, Jim. How about you?
I'm old, but other than that, I'm all right.
That's a good attitude.
You had mentioned this to the nice lady. I think she was on the first call, and it was, how do you spark the interest? And I'm not sure which one of you brought up, and I've heard it a couple of times, the insurance issue. Could you tell me what you were alluding to? I'm brand new, as you know. And
people, when you get an insurance policy, when you have a homeowner's insurance policy of virtually any kind, it stipulates that the property, you have to stipulate owner occupied or tenant occupied. And you have to, if it's a vacant property, a lot of companies don't want to insure you because there's vandalism issues, homeless
Sure.
people could move in, and it's really your responsibility if you go on vacation for a couple weeks, it's different, but if the home becomes empty or vacant for an extended period of time, you really have a responsibility to notify the insurance company and to change your coverage.
Okay.
Now, if you don't, you'd probably have to get a good attorney and try to sue them, and you may or may not prevail, but they do have a right, or they may have a legal right to not pay you if something happens to the house if you didn't tell them that the status of the property changed and it's no longer occupied. And almost nobody does. If Uncle Joe dies and you're 1,000 miles away, you don't even know who his insurance company is, let alone changing it. So it's just something that almost nobody does that can really get their attention and let them know that you are not your average realtor and investor, that you really are looking out for their best interests.
Oh, and just the fact that you gave them, maybe you should call Mr. Smith's insurance agent and make sure that you're fully covered. You've just added value right there. I mean, they hadn't done anything with it. They probably, maybe it's covered, maybe it's not, but I think that gives you a big jump on everybody else, for sure.
Yeah, no, we agree, and it's a great pattern interrupt if they say, well, my attorney's taking care of everything. Attorneys, they misunderstand the depth of what an attorney will do. He doesn't generally help sell the personal property. He doesn't clean out the house. He doesn't arrange for repair. He's going to get the title cleared just like a title company would. He's going to do what's necessary to clear the probate. That other stuff, now, I'm sure there's some extraordinary ones out there that provide that service, but I would guess it's a very, very small percentage. So
wait a minute, you know some extraordinary attorneys?
Was that an oxymoron? No, we may have some attorneys on the call. I've had a few attorneys call. We have a few attorneys that are subscribers. They introduce themselves as recovering attorneys. I always get a kick out of that. So,
well, thank you.
There are some good ones out there. Oh, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Guys, we have no one else in the queue. This was, we got through this call pretty much intact without our great trainer. Chad will be back next week. And again, if any of you are going to NAR, please come and find us. We will be there next Thursday through Monday, I believe. Just come find the All the Leads booth. And thank you so much to everyone who did actively participate. Thank you to everyone who took the time to be here today. I always end these calls the same way. I want to challenge you. Take one thing, one idea, one story, something that inspired you from today's call. Go out and put it into practice, and please come back next week and share your results with the group. Make it a great week, guys. We will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.